that we're at the end of the job. You got two big parts left: the technology and the install of the furniture.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you explain what you do in those two parts?
So in the technology side, there are two pieces. One is what I'll call the infrastructure. Like a better term, you've got an IT room where you have all your servers and your internet service comes in, and your security equipment is in there mounted on the walls. And then you've got all the cabling that goes out to all the workstations. That's infrastructure. Out to the front door and the security. Maybe you've got a card reader on the door and it's got mag locks on the doors, and those mag locks have to tie back to the fire alarm system, because when the fire alarm goes off, they have to fail safe, not secure. So there's all kinds of interfaces that you do on the infrastructure side from the IT side. Once that's done and the cables are, I'm making this up, but they're sitting out where clusters of open workstations or benching stations are going to be, then you have your furniture team set to come in, and I've built hundreds and hundreds of workstations on a single project, and there's a process for doing that. Sometimes it's working a section at a time. Sometimes it's working with several teams to get the bones of it, for lack of a better term, followed by the technology, followed by the close up of the workstations, followed by the work surfaces. So there's a rhythm to that work, an efficient rhythm to that work. And at the same time, those workstations, many of them are powered. So you've got the GC's electrician working in your furniture workstations. You've got your IT, AV security design build firm who's hired a cabling vendor working in there. So you got a lot of people working at the same time, and I'm a conductor basically, and I make sure that everybody's playing the music at the same time.
You test the systems, or what do you usually do?
When the cabling is run, it's called ringing out the cables. You make that's part of the IT requirement to make sure that you have end-to-end connectivity, and that the cables, there are no crimps in the cable that are causing any bad performance. In a lot of places, we pull two cables because the labor is almost the same, and it's just the cost of the cable. And if the cable ever goes bad 5 years from now, 8 years from now, you don't want to have to run all the way back to the closet. You just go to the other cable. So sometimes, depending on the technology requirements of the client, that recommendation will be made. And if their in-house IT person says, yeah, that's a smart thing, we want to do that, then we'll do that to lay those out there.
In today's environment, a lot of landlords are doing pre-builts. So when you're representing the tenant and the landlord says the pre-built is $180 or $200, you usually go out there and get a contractor to confirm that they're really spending that money.
The answer is that it costs money to estimate a job, to estimate a set of drawing. What you'll get a lot of times with a landlord is you'll get a work letter amount. Let's say it's $180. I don't care what it is, and they'll give you a building standard. They'll say, we're building it to this standard, and this is, and you can spend $180 a square foot. The first thing we do is with our architect, we look at the building standard. A lot of offices need privacy. Is there sound attenuation in the wall? In the walls? A lot of times there isn't. I caught a landlord speccing a 5/8 inch sheetrock and putting in a 1/4 inch sheet, pre-built, and we stopped them. I found where studs were built on a thinner profile and not the larger profile. So there's still a quality control element, regardless of what the landlord says he's going to spend. If that $180 a square foot is factoring into your rent, then yeah, we want to, and it has impact, then we want to go and estimate. At least call it estimating. General contractor, in the general contracting world, the estimator in-house can do square footage takeoffs on electrical and kind of by the seat of his pants, because they've done it so many times. This should cost about this should cost about that, based on what I see in the in the standards, and they can come up with a number. They won't go through the lengthy process of sending the drawings out to all the subs and answering all the questions. That that can take weeks and weeks and weeks, and it costs money for a GC to do that.